Hi everybody, it's your old pal John back with another something interesting. I'm trying to do a series of videos that highlight something historically that has appealed to me or that I've heard that is unusual, that maybe isn't taught in our history books or has been glossed over for some reason by our pop culture and it just is a story that hasn't been told that much. Maybe you've heard of some of these and maybe you haven't. If you haven't, I think that would be great, because then I've turned you on to something interesting. Yeah, see what I did there? So today's something interesting is going to be the story of a ship. It's simply the story of a ship. This ship was built by the Swedes in the early 1900s as a merchant vessel, large steel ship, and the name of it is absolutely unpronounceable to me. It's a Swedish name. It doesn't matter, because it was bought by the Hudson Bay Company. And the Hudson Bay Company was a trading company, British trading company, I believe, that in this case worked the Arctic. And so it would go up through Canada and Alaska and into some of the most inaccessible places in the Arctic areas. There were outposts there, fur traders and trappers and things like that. Regardless of your view on fur, this is pre-World War I, so furs were actively traded. And this particular ship was named in the nomenclature of the Hudson Bay Company, which would be Bay something. In this case, it's Baychimo. Chimo was a small outpost, or is a small outpost, up in the Arctic, in the Canadian Arctic, only accessible during the summer. The pack ice would, even in the ocean, would freeze over solid, and Chimo became inaccessible. But this ship was named for that outpost, and so we're going to call it Baychimo. I may be mispronouncing it. I have heard it pronounced what is it? What did they call it? Baychimo, or something like that. Or Baychimo, or something like that. I could be mispronouncing it, but I chose to pronounce it this way because of the Hudson Bay Company. I would assume that the Bay would be correct, and Chimo is Chimo, Baychimo. If I got it wrong, I apologize, because I'm going to say Baychimo about 100 times during this video, and for those of you who may know something about this, it may grate on your ears, but I don't know what to tell you, because I ain't redoing this video. Well, maybe I will. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Okay. So, Baychimo. Your typical one-stacker steamship. I believe it was about nearly 200 feet long. So it's a big ship. Again, if you want the specifics, you can look up the story and find out a little bit more about it. I'm kind of here as a storyteller to let you know the interesting points of this particular story. So, Baychimo was a ship that would pick up anything, furs, housing, temporary housing, all sorts of things, and it plied very dangerous waters. It plied waters that, if you did not get out of in time, the winter would freeze them over, and when a ship was caught in pack ice, that pack ice would squeeze that ship until there was nothing left of it. So you can imagine that after a while, finally, Baychimo got caught in pack ice. And this isn't an immediate emergency, but it is an abandoned ship sort of situation. So the captain, after inspecting the ship, said, "We're stuck. This ship is doomed. Everybody off." So they gradually got off the ship, and during the day they built out of stuff that was on the ship a temporary shelter. They got in the shelter on the ice because you were safer on the ice than on the ship in this case. And that night, while everybody was in the shelter and asleep, Baychimo disappeared. So they said, oh. But they got up the next morning and Baychimo was gone. And they said, oh, Baychimo is gone. It sank. Until somebody later on, at that point they had already ordered. This is not a human tragedy story, by the way. They had ordered airplanes in to come and save everybody that was there, and in the meantime, they happened to find Baychimo again, and they said, all it did was drift down, a few miles away. We couldn't see it, so they, flying over, there's Baychimo right there. Let's go back and get everything off of it that we can. And so they decided to salvage everything that they could off of Baychimo. They set up shop next to it again with the intention of going over to Baychimo the next day and getting everything off of it that they could that was of value. During the night, Baychimo disappeared again, and they said, it's really gone this time. It's like this, nothing happened, during the night. It didn't sail away. It's gone. It wasn't gone. Few months later, another company saw the Baychimo floating around, trapped in pack ice yet again, and decided that they would also salvage what they could off of it. So this guy, all he had was like sleds and stuff. So he went in and he boarded Baychimo. He got furs off of it and everything that he could. Took it back to where he was from, and said, well, then tomorrow I'm going back because there's still more stuff on that ship. He went back. Baychimo was gone. Baychimo was gone again. Baychimo is sunk. It's gone. It's sunk. This went on for a long time. And when I say a long time, I mean years. Baychimo was first abandoned in the 30s, early 30s. Inuits, Eskimos up there boarded Baychimo through the years, but this derelict ship floated around in the Arctic until it was last seen in 1969, which is 30-some years, nearly 40 years past the time that it was initially thought to be sunk. So Baychimo may very well still be out there floating around in the Arctic. Unfortunately, it probably isn't. We have GPS mapping, we have satellites, things like that. But the Alaskan government in 2005 decided we need an official inquiry to find out what happened to this ship. And to this day, we don't know. Baychimo might be out there. So if you've got a boat, why don't you go out there and find it for me? That would be great.